Everybody to our July meeting. We have a new board member and a new staff member, so we're going to go around and do introductions. So I'm Michelle Wagner. I am the current board president, chiropractor in Gresham. Karen?
Hi, everybody. Karen Bernick, current board treasurer, chiropractor in Milwaukee.
And Scott?
Scott Fuller, chiropractor in Beaverton and board member.
Corey?
Corey O'Neill, chiropractor in Medford, Oregon, and board member.
And Mike?
I'm Mike Milanovich. I guess I'm a board member in Wilsonville, but I am not in private practice at the time.
Micah?
I'm Micah. I'm located at Beaverton, Oregon, and I'm a public member.
Lori?
Lori Schmidt. I'm a public member located in Coos Bay.
Cass?
Morning, everybody. I'm Cass McLeod Skinner. I'm the executive director for the board.
Is Kristen on?
No, she's not. She's going to be later. Yeah.
Okay. Heather?
Heather Gilker, staff.
Miriam?
Miriam Lara, staff.
Craig?
Craig Kawaoka, chiropractor, healthcare investigator.
Garrett?
Garrett Roloff, contract investigator.
And Krista?
You're muted, Krista. Welcome to the board meeting.
Okay, I'm the new operations specialist. I've been here since May.
Welcome. Thank you. All right, so before we begin, are there any public comments not related to an item on the agenda? Alrighty. Any changes to the agenda?
No, we have the amended as of yesterday or the day before, which has some carry-on items. But other than that, there's no changes.
Okay, and then the January and April public board minutes. Any changes anybody saw?
This is Lori. I didn't see any issues or errors or anything.
Lori said it, so it must be good.
All right.
All right, so ED report.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. So our 2023-25 budget got wrapped up, or yes, it got wrapped up at the end of June. July is considered month 13 in the year, but we have an ending cash balance actually as of the end of May of $297,892, which translates into approximately 2.72 months of expenditure reserve. To give you as new folks a sense, so Mike and Krista, we generally want to have our reserve at the 6 to 8 month mark. So to have 2.7 months is a little bit precarious in my estimation. So we're going to watch that pretty closely. Our 25-27 budget, we await the official signing of our budget bill by the governor, but that's Senate Bill 5507, but there are no holdups. That establishes our budget of $2,475,586 in expenditures for the 25-27 biennium. So welcome, Mike, to the board. Yes, you are officially a board member, not just kind of. Welcome. And also to Krista, and she made reference to being here since May and jumped in full on and has been doing amazing work with getting us caught up on the administrative side of things with DAS reporting, accounts receivable, all sorts of things that were needing some attention. So thank you, Krista, for joining us. And with that, actually, before we get into the Enlumen updates, now that Seth Alley is no longer our board member, he termed out, and I know I'm very sad about that. We need a new board liaison for our PMP committee, which is now kind of transitioning to our Oregon Specific Exams Review Committee. So I want to plant that idea. By the end of this meeting, I want to have someone of the board members volunteer. It's not a huge The responsibilities are not huge. I pretty much cover it. Me and Heather staff the meeting, and so we track agenda items and what we need to do. But we do want to have a board member participate and then report back to the board. So think about that and let me know if you'd be interested. Krista, if you want to give us an Inlumen update.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick on this, but there's a lot going on with Inlumen. So when I started in May, there were about 80 open tickets with them. These were a mix of both individual problems and larger systemic issues affecting our licensing platform. More recently, OBCE was made aware of a concern about device compatibility. So Inlumen stated to us that their renewal platform really only fully functions on a PC. So you can imagine that means Apple devices, Android phones, tablets don't work reliably on the system. Some users have been able to renew with those devices, but some haven't. And all of those other ones we have to manually renew. This limitation was never communicated up front, or anytime that I know, the staff kind of figured it out, but it was the first time recently that they said that Inlumen stated that out loud. The second real issue is last week, we identified a more critical technical issue, and that's that the Inlumen program is not properly communicating with its database. So when staff goes in and manually corrects something, or they're in a profile and they change anything, that change does not update the database in the back end. So that means if an applicant is having issues right now in their renewal, they're going to continue to have issues in the next renewal. And so it's just going to be a cycle that continues. Inlumen admitted that they knew about this issue, that it was going to happen about a year ago, but they didn't realize how big of an issue it was going to be until 4 to 6 weeks ago. So at that time, they brought in a programmer to try to rewrite the program, but we have no estimate on the fix for that or the time for resolution. So one of our major limitations in our contract is that the contract specifies a response time, but not a resolution time for an issue. So that makes it really difficult to hold Inlumen accountable. So for us, what we've tried to do is we're pushing those things through manually through Inlumen, hand doing the renewals. We're encouraging users to use a PC if they're having any type of issues, and we're internally tracking reoccurring issues and trying to identify patterns and reporting them back to Inlumen. We've escalated the matter directly with Inlumen, requesting frequent updates and where we are in the development fix. So now OBCE is working with DAS Enterprise Information Systems, and they're helping us to evaluate the situation and try to map out a path for resolution. So our goal is to continue the service while protecting that user experience and also ensuring that we have compliance. So we're concerned that if the rewrite really isn't done soon, all of the upcoming renewals are going to continue to be affected. The database could really be a cause of a lot of our root issues that we're dealing with right now. This creates an operational burden, but also public confidence is decreasing, I think, when they're using our portal. So we're beginning to evaluate possible contingency options in case that a broader workaround isn't needed, isn't working. We're currently reviewing the contract to explore whether we can modify it or whether we want to continue with it. At the same time, we're considering looking at other vendors or system platforms. So I just want to let you guys know that there is a lot going on there, but our priority is to ensure that the licensing continues, it's functional, it's reliable, and it's user-friendly.
Thanks, Krista. I would say wonderful, but the news is harsh. So, but thank you for all the work and kind of sussing out the status of the situation. And like she said, we are looking at the contract. The contract is due for renewing at the end of July, and we are considering not doing so if we aren't able to get these things resolved. So, and that's where DAS EIS comes in, is to see if there are other options for us, and what those are. And in the meantime, we push on and make every day as compliant as we can. Okay, so then we have November introduction to the board meeting dates. I think, Miriam, we're looking at November 5th or November 19th. So those are both Wednesdays. Again, those are the introduction to the board meeting course. We need a board member to participate, board member or two. It's going to be held between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. virtual meeting, so it's not in person. And so we just want to know when you would like to hold that. And who wants to participate?
I can participate and I'll feel better by then.
I hope so.
I hope so, yeah. Okay, so I hear Micah. Anyone else? Any of our docs?
I can do it.
Corey? Okay.
This is Lori. I can be an alternate public member.
Okay. Great.
The early November date might be tough. The other one would be a lot easier.
Okay, so we're looking at November 19th.
Yes.
Okay. Does that work for you, Micah?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Every time you talk, you bring tears to my eyes. It makes me a little sympathetic. I'm like, oh, my throat hurts on your behalf. Okay, let's see. Hold on just a second. I'm just taking notes here. So that was November 19.
What's the name of that, Cass?
Introduction to the board.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Corey. Great.
What time was that? You said around 4?
4 p.m., 4 to 7. And ahead of time, you'll get our PowerPoint presentation that we'll be presenting, so you'll be able to review and see the materials and know what the kind of run a show is. Right. Okay, and I believe that is your executive director report.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Vern's not on, right?
He's not. He's actually going to be presenting tomorrow. So
Okay.
tomorrow at 9. And we have OCA update in the materials in the email.
I missed it. Okay. And I didn't see a UWS one either, but
Oh, I'm so sorry. OCA is happening tomorrow. The UWS update is in the materials.
Oh.
Got them confused.
All right. Any comments on the UWS update? Okay. We have 14 minutes until rule hearing.
So I'm just looking at our agenda and seeing what we could possibly cover ahead of time. So in your administrative rules review and discussion, so section number 7, these are just our our continuation of our full rule review. The 7A, which is the spouse of active duty armed forces, there was a question that came up that with regard to, we actually had our first application for this rule to be implemented, and we had a couple of questions about that. So I don't know if we want to talk about it right now or after our rule hearing.
We see how far we get.
Okay. All right. Krista, you want to pull up that information?
I did, but I didn't share my screen. So that would be kind of an issue.
And Heather, if you're the one who got this question, didn't you, the applicant?
Yeah, so her spouse is stationed in Klamath Falls. She's licensed in Pennsylvania. So, but you know, like does she in the, because it'll be a temporary license. And I think it's good for, it's up above. It's good for a certain amount of time. It's not like 13 months after the issuance of the so it's good for like 13 months or whatever. So, but nowhere in there, I mean, it has, you know, we need a transcript, but it doesn't state, do they need the 36 hours of minor surgery proctology on their transcript? There's nothing mentioned up in the rules about needing a background check. There's nothing about passing Oregon specific exams, even the ethics jurisprudence, which would help with their scope of practice when they're in Oregon. You know, what am I looking for with this? If they're a spouse looking for a temporary license.
And realizing that if we wanted to do any changes to this rule itself, it still doesn't affect that person's application because it's based on this rule as it sits. But I wanted to bring it before the board because it was clearly that we didn't address it. I think we were thinking that this was going to be a temporary license and folks were going to be in Oregon for a very short period of time. But if it's a year, to Heather's point, especially with the ethics and jurisprudence exam, we'd want to have them have some knowledge of the jurisdiction that they're practicing in. But our rule right now doesn't address that.
The other part is if they're going to be here longer than, say they're here for they're going to be here for 2 years, this license is good for 13 months and they want to continue after that, do they need to submit a new application with like as a regular, or how do they transition if they want to go from that temporary license to a permanent license or a full license, I guess?
Those are all very good questions. Oh.
So we have 10 minutes left before.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the rule sits, you know, it's silent as to the 36 hours. Go ahead, Lori.
Have we looked at what other boards have done in regards to this?
Yeah, that's where we got this rule to begin with, was from other boards. And so when we implemented it, I don't know, in 2022 or whenever it was based on what other health licensing boards were doing. And we have a unique situation with our Oregon specific exams. Go ahead, Lori.
No, sorry, I was just trying to lower my hand.
No. And I know, I mean, we just weren't, I don't think we were anticipating, I know the board didn't discuss 36 hour. I mean, we didn't discuss any of the Oregon specific exams. We were just thinking that this was going to be a very kind of temporary situation. But
so on D, it says to practice chiropractic at the level of application. When we talk about application, are you referring to a state application to practice in Oregon or just chiropractic in general?
I am not sure of your question. I think the way I read this is that they are applying to be a DC, and so at that level rather than a CA or other type of licensure.
So if they're applying to be a DC in Oregon, wouldn't they have to have completed all the requirements anyways?
That's the question.
Part
So
of
this application is for the temporary, for, you know, a military spouse to have ease in access to working. I mean, that was the whole push. Go ahead, Michelle. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was basically going to say the same thing, but I think that the jurisprudence would be good. Personally, I don't mind not doing the minor surgery just because they have to have, if they wanted to do that, they'd have to have the extra, I can't think of the word for it now, but, you know, do the extra stuff to get that certification.
Yeah.
I agree. Can we shorten it, or does it have to be 13 months? Like that way they have to, like every 6 months they got to renew. 13 months is a long time, I feel like, but
Yeah. I mean, that's up to you.
I think we were at the time maybe trying to be cognizant of how long somebody might be stationed somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
well, could it be like 6 months, and then if you need to renew it, we do that, but it just keeps it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it keeps it more accountable to, not having to do things like minor surgery, proctology, all those things that, if it's a 6 month thing, I feel like it's a better window to not have to do those things.
Oh, I see what you're saying. What kind of like an extended traveling DC?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Less requirements, but a shorter time frame that we can renew up to,
Mm-hmm.
Based on our discretion, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they renew like 7 times, then you're like, hey.
Are they paying the full application fee when they get this?
So far, I mean, I think they would be, but that's also.
Yeah, we don't have a separate fee for temporary licensure.
So I think maybe, like if they need it beyond whatever temporary license timeframe we give, then maybe to change it over, they would need to take those other exams and, do the 20 hours continuing ed and pay the renewal. Maybe?
You mean transitioning from a temporary to a permanent license?
Yeah.
Yeah, just treat it like a renewal.
But then they'd have to complete the rest of the Oregon specific exams. Thoughts, comments?
So I guess there's two things here for board action or just deliberation on is how do we handle the person who's now applying based on this current rule? And do we want to open up into rulemaking in October around this rule to clarify? Because right now, as it's written, the answers to questions 1 through 3 to me is 36 hours of minor surgery proctology are not required. Background checks not required, and organ specific exams aren't required based on what the rule says.
I think you for sure need a background check, maybe. Or
Yeah.
maybe they already have one through the pro. I don't know.
So this is Lori. I think it's a good idea to definitely put it on for rulemaking in October.
Mm-hmm.
And then can we think a little bit more about what we do with the current applicant?
This So was that a motion for rulemaking in October?
Yes, I'm making a motion that we put this rule. Can you say the rule number, please?
Yeah, it's OAR 811-010-0068.
On our agenda in October.
Perfect.
You have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, we will take a vote. Karen,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye, thank you.
Micah,
Aye.
and I for myself, motion carries. All right, we got 3 minutes, so we'll just take a little breather and let Krista transition.
Great, thank you. So I wanted to, as we're sitting here waiting for 9 o'clock to start, the PNP committee, we have one issue of clarification that we're dealing with regard to minor surgery and proctology requirements, but we also have an introduction to the actual full document. And other than that, the PNP has been fully revised. So we're pretty thrilled. It's been, Heather, what, 2 years or even maybe even longer, 2.5?
It's been a while.
Yeah. But it's been an amazing amount of work. And so I'm just really, really proud of the group. And it's been such a fun team to be part of. Really engaged, and I'm looking forward to doing the exam review with them. It's going to be great.
Really exciting to have that all finished.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was drafting the introduction, it was, as of the mid 80s, collecting questions to the board and random policies that were put in there. And so it was just really interesting to do a little history rabbit hole on the history too.
So while we were waiting, I was just, because my sister was military, and so I asked her if her husband had to have a background check, just, because of this. He had to for his security clearance.
Okay.
So they will have had one.
Perfect.
Just for our info.
Thanks, Karen.
So he had a background check, but I mean,
the spouse.
The spouse. But,
yeah.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have access to that. Correct.
Okay. But we can't get that?
No, there's no interagency sharing of background checks. I mean, there's a kind of the presumption that if they're qualified and they pass the background check to enter their clearance, then we should be fine, but we can't have access to it.
Well, yeah, and that was initially why I said it, is just assuming that they would be, if they were cleared, that they're fine.
I guess that's one question we could ask the current application, is if they've had certain types of security clearance.
And when did they have the background checks? So, I mean, our background checks are only good for like a year.
Yeah.
And they'd have to redo it. And yeah.
This is Lori. So this applicant, they are required to maintain their license in the other state, correct? So they've gone through that background check of the other state. And I mean, they're required to maintain a license somewhere, or is our temporary license the main license?
No, they're required to maintain their original license. But we don't know, certain jurisdictions don't require background checks, and certain jurisdictions require them infrequently. So we also don't have access to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think we have to, I mean, I think we can look at changing that definitely in our rule for future applicants.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely we need to, because I've never even thought of that.
Okay. Well, it's after 9, Michelle, if we want to go into rule hearing.
Yep, so we're going to go ahead and open up rule hearing. We'll start with 811-010-0093, Guide to Policy and Practice Questions. We're adopting a new date. So I will make a motion to accept 811-010-0093 as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Karen.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
Micah.
Aye.
An aye for myself, motion carries. That closes rulemaking on 8/11/010/0093. We'll now open rulemaking on 8/11/010/0140.
So you're not seeing any red line on this because this is a brand new rule. And this is in line per Senate Bill 1552, if you remember. So this is a very new process for us, for folks who, prior to them going into additional training or education programs, if they've had a criminal background of some kind or conviction, they would request us to review essentially their background and provide whether they would qualify for licensure before education or not. So it's a kind of a preview of their materials, essentially to save them money on the education if they have had such an egregious history. You'll see in 2B that the required fee isn't filled out. And this was actually the other health professional regulatory boards have agreed that $75 for the preview application would be appropriate. So I would put forward that 2B should be $75. And we would also need to go through the the e-portal board to get a new fee to receive these monies. But we needed to get this going. So it's going to be a little bit interesting if we do, I don't know how many of these we would get a year, but it would be kind of the preview that we normally just do anyway, essentially. And there is a question, if they get denied, if we tell them no upon our review that no, they would not qualify for licensure, what type of kind of due process and appeal rights they have with this process. So that's going to be up in the air a little bit too.
Am I putting 75 here?
Yes, please, as a red line.
Mhm. Oh.
Oh, good point, Rebecca. So 4 references 3C. And 3C doesn't exist. So I think it would be 2C. I think it's 2C. What's interesting about this too is in subsection 6 there, is that the petition and the board's determination are subject to public records laws, which is a little bit different than our application for licensure. So folks' criminal convictions and history would be open to the public when generally that's not the case.
Do we have to do that?
Yep.
And for number 3, like, is that a completed petition and fee for each conviction? So a $75 fee for each conviction that they are asking for?
That's a good question. That's for the board to determine. So if they have a full history of like 4 or 5 different convictions, it would seem like we could do that in one application. But I think why it's separated out is because if you're denying, if you're allowing, or if they would be granted licensure if they went through education with 3 out of the 4, but denied on the 4th one, you still need an independent determination on each of those convictions.
We also have a public comment.
Oh.
Could you scroll down, Krista? Is there more to the, I think there's more to the rule.
Oh,
So Rebecca asked, a common question comes up about expunged convictions, records, and whether they must be reported.
That's a good question. I think generally what happens when we receive our background checks, oftentimes folks think that their convictions have been expunged when they haven't been. And so we see and we'll ask them about it. If it's been expunged, then the board doesn't consider it as part of their history. But oftentimes folks are mistaken in the expungement. If they've been truly expunged, I don't see why they would be included. But again, things come up on background checks that folks think are expunged that aren't.
I think I just read the rule that said that if it was expunged, there needed to be something provided by the entity, or the petitioner needed to request. I think it was it 6? They just saw it at. Sorry, I was reading it and then now I don't remember what number it was, but it did
Krista,
state
you want to
something
find
along those
search?
lines. Oh, it was 4. Sorry.
Yeah, so it looks like the person would need to provide kind of proof that the record's no longer available or the expungement exists. Not necessarily the details of it, but that it's actually under seal. Any other changes board wants to make?
Going back to 3, I mean, I don't know if I'm correctly understanding, but it would be my interpretation from that, and it would make sense to me if it were true, that there would be a separate petition and fee for each criminal conviction, because each criminal conviction is going to require legwork by the board to review. You can't review each criminal conviction as a packet. You can't do them all as a package. Each one would have to be separately thought through about how it pertains to licensure.
Yep, that's
And
right.
so I would think that it would. I think the wording's clear, but and I think that the intent is clear, but I just want to make sure everybody else agrees with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so long as staff understands that it's individual.
I'm not advocating to change it, but it's just interesting to me because if it all came together as an application, I mean, we consider each of them separately, but you know, I don't know. Rather that like these, you know, when they're asking for this, they're picking and choosing which conviction they're setting before us ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's on them, what they think serious or not.
Right.
So quick question on like, in practice, would this person, before they submit their application, would they be submitting a background check to us so that we would have a record of like what convictions they've had? And then what is there another, when it says a petition, is that going to a separate completed petition? Is that going to be a form that they need to fill out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the separation. The legal distinction between this process and an application process is that this is considered a petition for review and not an application. So we would need to have a whole separate form drafted up for them
Okay.
to file. Yeah.
Would they be just self-reporting what convictions they have, or would we be doing a background check on them ahead of time?
I'm not sure what this says. I don't remember. Does it say we require a background check or no?
I didn't see it.
No.
So it would just be what they self-report and put
Yeah.
forward to us. Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, so somebody's gonna come and say like, I had this arrest for, I don't know, whatever felony, like, is this gonna exclude me from licensure? And like, let's say we say no, and they're like, great, see you in 4 years when I apply.
Mm-hmm. And then what's interesting too is, are we able to use that information they provided in their preview application or petition compared to their new application to see if they were truthful?
I
Because
do think there was something like in 7.
Reconsider a determination. Mm-hmm. Yep.
okay. So it could be, I mean, I have this felony. We say, okay, that doesn't bar you from it. And then when they get to the actual background check, they've got a string of misdemeanors. That would bar them. That would not go against this if they didn't self-report.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it would just be used as a mirror of what they reported and the time frame. I mean, they could, we've seen folks that go through school and have stuff happen, and they have a history while they're in school or during the application process even, and they have to, update their materials, and it's a whole different history than when they started.
Lori?
So I'm thinking the whole idea of this is to make the chiropractic profession available to folks that traditionally have not applied. So I'm wondering if we should, instead of charging $75 per charge, because that's sometimes cases have multiple charges, but it's one incident. And so, I mean, in every county is different of how they charge things. So I'm wondering if we could say like 75 for the first and 50 for additional, or I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. I'm just trying to think of more. The whole idea is to make it more inclusive, or more of an inclusive profession. And so
Like a multi.
that's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a lot of money. 10 charges, and that's $750. But maybe their dream is to become, a chiropractor. They wanted to be a chiropractor since 2nd grade, and they made a mistake when they were, 18. So I don't know, just putting that out there. That's what I've been thinking about.
That's a good point, Lori. I mean, the board could do whatever it likes to do on that. I mean, required fee of $75 for the first conviction reviewed, and $50 or $25 for subsequent review. I don't know.
Or what if we did a max, like up to a certain amount? It was even if it was 75 each, or if it was 75 for the first and 25 for the rest, up to a certain max. Because obviously, if somebody has a whole bunch of convictions, that's going to weigh into the decision as well. And probably not going to be quite as, the number 10 is probably not going to be quite as thoroughly looked at as number 2.
Yeah.
So can it also be per judgment, like per final judgment? Or does that not address each conviction?
Yeah, that's not going to address each conviction.
Okay.
Yeah.
A maximum for the applicant.
Yeah, petitioner.
The petitioner.
Mm-hmm.
So $75 per charge.
Chrissy, yeah, can you get in there? Yeah, thanks. for conviction with a maximum of what max do you want to put on this? Or required fee of $75 per conviction review. With a maximum of what, $500?
Yeah, I like that. This is Lori. I like that.
Should it be a like a multiple
Yeah.
of 75?
I was like, that doesn't math.
That's fine. So $750 for 10. That's the max.
It'll either be $450 or $600.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I would say
$450.
See, I don't see this as being inclusive. I see this as helping people not waste their time and money if they're not going to get licensed.
Yeah. That's how I kind of view it too, Michelle. Trying to prevent them going into debt for no ability to get licensed later. Yeah. Any other changes you're seeing?
Well, I have a question on number 4. When it says like they no longer exist, have been sealed, does that like automatically include expungement? Or do we need to put that in there? I don't know how that works.
That's interesting. Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. I was just thinking the same thing. Sealed is different than expungement, so we could include expungement there. Have been sealed, comma, expunged, or otherwise unavailable.
If something has been sealed or expunged, is that still going to be reviewed? Do we need the expungement paperwork or no?
Yeah, we would need to have proof, put a comma there after expunged. We would need to have some documentation of that going forward.
Are you petitioning to have it reviewed?
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody feel like making a motion?
I will make a motion to accept, if we can scroll up. I think it's 811. Nope. Yeah. 811-010-0140 as created.
As amended.
Amended.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We shall vote. Karen?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye. Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Lori?
Lori, you're on mute.
We lost her. Micah?
I don't think she's here anymore.
I for myself, motion carries.
All right.
That closes rulemaking on OAR 811-010-0140. We will now open rulemaking on OAR 811-030-0011.
So these 3 X-ray there she is, X-ray rules. Just kind of came to my attention that we hadn't, in our full review of our rules, we hadn't checked it with X-rays in like years. So, so this is what I thought should change, and I'll leave it to the board to modify.
They're not called permits, are they? I actually don't know.
I think it's a license.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, you make that change.
Is there a certificate, or is that all the same thing? Do we need to list all the different types of papers?
No.
How about accreditation? If they're in possession of accreditation documents, or if it's called a license.
Are you Googling, Karen?
I'm looking at
yeah.
I'm looking at the Oregon Board of Medical Imaging right now, and they have a tab called "Applying for License or Permit in Oregon."
Oh. All right.
What's the difference?
I'm not there yet. Applying with the board is the first step towards becoming medical imaging licensee or permit holder in Oregon. Have your online application portal to get started.
I think just different abilities to take X-rays and then analyze them possibly. I don't know.
I have a feeling it might be the difference between like if you can take an X-ray versus like some more advanced imaging.
Mm-hmm.
Because you technically don't read them. All right. Any changes?
So do we need staff employees, or can it just be employees? Or just staff? It seems a little bit redundant to me. But
let's go with just staff.
Staff, because they may not be employees technically.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to have a C in front of the 811 C dot?
That's just part of that was part of the agenda. Yeah. That's all.
Oh,
that
okay.
That just helps me know where it is to pull up.
So not part of the actual rule. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what's interesting is that this is talking about staff, but what about a DC?
That's already included.
Is it? Okay. All right.
It's DCs who think that they can just teach their own staff how to do it.
Got it. Okey doke.
Any other changes? Anybody feeling motiony?
I was just going to say that.
I make a motion that we adopt OAR 811-030-0011 as written.
As amended?
As amended. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh,
okay, I'll second.
Very quiet crew this morning. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Karen?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Micah?
Aye.
Aye for myself, motion carries. That closes rulemaking on OAR 811-030-0011. We will now open rulemaking on OAR 811-030-0020. Comments, questions, changes?
So in number 2, if we're taking off radiographs and using imaging in the first sentence, should we change that
In the last.
the third?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So poor quality images. Yeah.
The one above it has radiographic too.
And the title has both. So are they supposed to be?
Can we just put all imaging is subject to review?
Yes, we could.
Mm-hmm.
Should we decide if we want in 2 it to be images, imaging, images again, or should we be consistent?
I'm all for consistency.
This is Lori. Is radiographing and imaging the same thing, or are they two different things?
Radiographs are a type of imaging. So it could be MRI, it could be ultrasound pictures. Yeah.
Because the title says scope of radiographic and other imaging. So how I read it was number 1 applies to something called radiographic diagnostic imaging or whatever. And then I thought number 2 was talking about something different than radiographics that called imaging. And I'm a public member, so you, for those that don't know, so I don't know offhand if that is number 1 applies to one thing, number 2 applies to another, and then 3 talks about x-rays, which is something different. And then pop quiz, what is fluoroscopy? I don't know.
I don't do fluoroscopy.
Fluoroscopy is the use of active motion x-ray. So the patient is put in front of the x-ray tube and goes through a range of motion to assess typically for stability and movement patterns. It's a adaptation of x-ray.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So I think each one is covering then different aspects. So the number 1 would stay radiographic,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then images, x-rays, fluoroscopy.
Hmm.
I just wanted to put on the record that number 5 makes me miss Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to Scott's thing. Do we like images for all of those in 2? Or imaging?
And could that almost be one sentence, or is that too much of a run-on if we delete some words?
All imaging shall be of diagnostic quality and are subject to review by the board to determine quality? No.
Yes,
Ah.
and then
Actually,
And the board.
semicolon.
Can't you just say, yeah, all
Oh.
images shall be of diagnostic quality and are subject to review by the
Review
board.
by the board.
Period.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Got it.
And then what's the difference between an X-ray and radiographic imaging?
Just trying to think if there's another example of radiographic imaging that would not be an X-ray. An X-ray would be a specific type of radiographic imaging, but I'm just trying to think in practicality if there's another type of radiographic imaging, and I can't think of anything.
Could we use the term like diagnostic? Well, no. I was going to say diagnostic imaging, but that might include too many things.
So my friend Google says that X-rays are considered plain radiography.
Mhm.
Plain, PLAIN. It doesn't say complex or or deluxe. I don't know.
Anybody have strong feelings about changing number 3? All right. So it stands.
Right. Someone feeling
Any other
motion?
changes? Yeah. I will make a motion to adopt 8/11/030/0020 as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Karen,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
I for myself, motion carries. That closes rulemaking on OAR 8/11/030/0020. We'll now open rulemaking on 8/11/030/0030.
I cracked up with patient's permanent file. It sounded like we're back in school. On your permanent record.
I haven't
When-
taken x-rays in a long time. Like, why is J there? Like, why are we specifying a certain size of film?
That is a very good question.
Sorry, Lori, we're
Frankly, I
And
think that
14
back-
by 14
Go
by
ahead.
36 is referring to an AP full spine, which was kind of standard diagnostic procedure in 1980.
But still relevant today, I would hope, right?
I don't know if any. I mean, it's pretty hard to get an AP full spine without sending somebody to Dornbecker. Like, just nobody takes them anymore. So much radiation exposure. It shouldn't be outside of the scope of practice, but I'm not sure that it should be listed as preference.
Yeah, and I think
I mean,
also
so-
this was
Yeah,
back
I mean,
in
it
the
does,
day.
It does say that sectional views shall be taken in preference to a. So it's suggesting not to do a
Not.
14 by 36.
Right.
Um,
And frankly, I think that was because we only had the board, the agency itself only had light boxes that were just so big to look at them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the paragraph makes sense as written. You know, sectional views are the preference, and you know, if you're taking a 14 by 36, you need to have a clinical explanation as to why you're doing that. There needs to be a clinical rationale.
Okay, any changes on here?
No, I think it looks good if it makes sense medically wise.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept 8-11.
You gonna scroll up, Krista?
Ah, 8-11-030-0030 as amended.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Karen?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Micah?
I
Aye for myself, motion carries. That closes rulemaking altogether.
Done with you. All right. All right. So I'm going to make a kindly request for a brief bio break.
Yeah, same.
When do we want to come back? 10?
Yeah. Okay, see you shortly.